Hello everyone. Welcome to BioLessons. Can you answer these questions? How many number of total bones are present in the human body? Which one is the longest bone? What are floating ribs? And how many of them are present in the human body? These are some very easy fact-based questions, but students often get them wrong. Today's lecture is all about human skeleton. I'll make it very simple, give all the tips and tricks so that you can answer these questions very easily. Human skeleton is composed of 206 bones and a few cartilages. Okay, the skeleton can be divided into axial skeleton, which is present along the axis, and appendicular skeleton, which is nothing but the bones that are attached to the main axis. For example, our hands, our legs, all of them will come under the appendicular skeleton. Okay, there are 80 bones present in the axial skeleton and 126 in the appendicular skeleton. Both the bones and cartilage are example of specialized connective tissue where bone is hard and is made up of calcium salt. Cartilage is flexible and is made up of chondroitin salt. Think of bone as a brick and cartilage as flexible rubber. Okay. Axial skeleton, as I already told, is present along the body axis and is made up of 80 bones. It is composed of SSVR, skull, sternum, vertebral column and the ribs. Okay, skull is composed of 29 bones, 22 bones present in the cranium and the face region, plus 7 associated. There is one sternum bone present in the anterior portion and 26 vertebral column. Okay, and there are 24, that is 12 pairs of ribs present in the human body. So together they make up 80 bones for the axial skeleton. Human skull is made up of in total 29 bones. 22 of them are present in the cranial and the face region. There are 8 cranial bones, that are the bones that protect the brain region, and 14 bones present in the facial region. So 8 plus 14, 22 main bones. And there are 7 associated. 3 ear ossicles are present in the middle ear, that are the small bones, malleus, incus and stapes. So if you take 2 ears, so 3 cross 2, we have 6 ear ossicles. And there is also one hyoid process, that is this portion, the single U-shaped bone present at the base of buccal cavity, that is also included with the counting of the skull bone. So these are 6 plus 1, that is 7 associated bones. Okay, remember the hyoid process, that is very important. Human skull is often called as dicondylic skull. Di means 2. Condylic means it is attached to the occipital condyles. Okay, as the skull is attached to the vertebral column with the help of 2 occipital condyles, that is known as dicondylic skull. Okay. Now talk about the vertebral column, which is made up of 26 bones or 26 vertebrae. Now in the central part, it has a neural canal through which the spinal cord passes. Okay. Now the main vertebrae are in the neck region, you have the cervical vertebra, upper back region, you have the thoracic vertebra, middle you have the lumbar vertebra, and towards the hip you have the sacrum and the coccyx. So the number of vertebrae in each are 7 cervical vertebrae and then 12 thoracic vertebrae, 5 lumbar vertebrae, 1 sacrum and 1 coccyx. Now both sacral and coccygeal vertebrae are fused. Okay, just remember a simple trick for this. Breakfast at 7, that is the cervical, lunch at 12, that is the thoracic, work till 5, that's the lumbar, 1 sacrum, 1 coccyx. Okay, easy. There's an important NEET fact. You must remember that the first vertebra is called as atlas, and that is the vertebra which supports the skull. Okay, one easy trick to remember: as atlas carried the earth, the atlas vertebra carries the skull. Okay, easy to remember. Let's now discuss ribs and sternum. Sternum is a single flat bone present in the anterior part to which the ribs are attached. Okay, there is a single flat sternum present in the human body. Now, the ribs are attached anteriorly to the sternum, and in the posterior or the back region they are attached by the to the vertebrae. Now, all the ribs are attached dorsally to the vertebrae, but whether or not they are attached to the sternum in the anterior part, we classify the ribs into three types: true, false, and floating. Now, what are true ribs? Number 1 to 7, the ribs that are attached dorsally to the vertebrae, and in the anterior part they are directly attached to the sternum. So these ribs are known as the true ribs. Okay, what are false ribs? Number 8, 9 and 10, they are dorsally attached to the vertebrae, but in the anterior part they are not directly attached to the sternum, but they are attached to the seventh rib via the hyaline cartilage. So these are known as the false ribs. Hyaline cartilage is very important here. Must remember it for the NEET. Okay. Now, what are floating ribs? Floating ribs are those ribs which are only attached to the dorsal part. They are not attached to anything in the anterior region. So number 11 and 12 constitute the floating ribs. So we saw here there are 12 pairs or 24 ribs that are present in the human body. Now, the false ribs are also known as vertebrochondral. Okay, and what the ribs, the human ribs are called as bicephalic because in the dorsal end or in the back region they are attached to 2 points, or they have two articulation surfaces. That's why the ribs are called as bicephalic. Okay, to remember the ribs, just remember the 7-3-2 rule, that is 7 true, 3 false ribs and 2 floating ribs. I hope this part is clear now. So, we covered the bones present along the main axis or the axial skeleton. Let's now look at the appendicular skeleton, or the bones that are attached to the main axis. What is it comprised of? It is comprised of the bones present in the hands or the forelimb, in the legs or the hind limb, in the pectoral girdle, that is for the attaching the hands to the main axis, pelvic girdle, that is for the attachment of the legs to the main axis. Okay, forelimb, it is comprised of 30 bones present in each hand, and that makes 30 cross 2, 60 bones present in the forelimb as a total. Okay, so what are the bones present? Look from the top. So this is one humerus, one radius, one ulna, and look at the hand here. So in the wrist portion, you have 8 bones that make up the wrist, that are known as the carpals, and then in the palm region, you have 5 bones that make up the palm. Those are known as the metacarpals, and the fingers, they are made up of the phalanges. So let's count here. Each of the 4 fingers, excluding the thumb, they have 3 bones in them, and the thumb has only 2. So the number of phalanges comes to a total of 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, that is 14. So that are 14 phalanges. So in total, I repeat again, one humerus, one radius, one ulna, 8 bones present in the wrist or the carpals, and then 5 bones present in the palm or the metacarpals, and 14 phalanges present in your finger. Just remember the 8-5-14 rule or the wrist palm finger rule. Okay. Each hind limb, if we see, it is also made up of 30 bones. So 30 cross 2, that makes up 60 bones present in both the hind limbs. Okay, let's look at the bones from the top here. The first one is femur, which is also known as a thigh bone. Must remember, it is the longest bone present. Okay, then you have one tibia and one fibula. Okay, and then come to the ankle region. Ankle region is made up of tarsals. Okay, but a very important fact you must remember, the wrist was made up of 8 bones, but the ankle here is made up of only 7 bones. Okay, now the foot region, just like the palm, is made up of the metatarsals. There we have metacarpals, here we have metatarsals. So there are 5 bones or 5 metatarsals here. And then you have the toes. Each of the toes is again just made up of like your fingers. So you have in total, for the big toe you have 2 phalanges, then for rest all you have 3 phalanges. So total it comes to 14 phalanges. You must remember, it is 7, 5, 14. Okay, for ankle, foot, toes. But again, how the number of bones is coming to 30? Here there is one extra bone present in your knee region, that is known as patella. Okay, the kneecap, that's a cup shaped bone called the patella that covers the knee ventrally, makes up the 30 bones that are present in your hind limb. So I repeat again, femur, the longest bone, one tibia, one fibula. Okay, then 7 tarsals, 5 metatarsals, and 14 phalanges. Are you clear about it? So this is the important NCERT trap, that you must remember there are 8 carpals, but there are only 7 tarsals in the ankle, and the missing bone is made up by the patella or the kneecap. Now look at the girdles, that are the bones which help in articulating or joining the limbs with the axial skeleton. The girdles are made up of 6 bones. Now we have pectoral girdle present in the shoulder region, made up of 4 bones. Now it consists of 2 clavicles or the collarbones and 2 scapula or the shoulder blades. So 1 clavicle and 1 scapula is present in the right as well as the left side. Now scapula is a large triangular flat bone which is situated between the 2nd and the 7th rib. If you look at the scapula dorsal side, then there is a slightly elevated ridge present which is called as the spine, and it projects as a flat extended process which is known as acromion. In simple words, you can visualize acromion as a slightly raised part of the shoulder, and it is the region where the clavicle or the collarbone is getting attached. Clear? Underneath the acromion, you have the glenoid cavity. What is glenoid cavity? It is a region where the humerus is attaching to the shoulder joint. Or in simple term, glenoid cavity is a region where the forelimb is getting attached to the shoulder joint. Clear? Next come to pelvic girdle. It is present in the hip and is made up of 2 bones. Each side has 1 coxal bone. So left is having 1, right is having 1. So together we have 2 coxal bone. Each coxal bone is made by the fusion of 3 bones. What are they? Ilium, ischium and pubis. Now look at each half of the pubic girdle. So the region where each half is meeting, that is known as the pubic symphysis, and it is made up of the fibrous cartilage. Next we have acetabulum. Just like the glenoid cavity, acetabulum is a region where the thigh bone is getting attached to the hip region. So acetabulum is a region where the head of the femur articulates. Clear? Let's quickly summarize everything. There is 206 bones in the human, 80 present along the axis or axial bones, and 126 appendicular bones. Come to the vertebra, we have 7 cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 1 sacral and 1 coccyx. Now come to the ribs, we have 7 true ribs, 3 false ribs and then 2 floating ribs. Okay. And remember the 8-5-14 rule for the hand and 7-5-14 rule for the foot. That is, we have 8 carpals but 7 tarsals in the foot. Okay, because we have one kneecap or patella that is present in the hind limb. Okay, now the longest bone is femur and the first vertebra is the atlas. These are the key points you must remember. Let's now talk about another important topic, that are joints. Now, joints are the points of contact between bones and bones or bones and cartilage. Now, whatever force the muscle is providing to carry out any movement, it is generated through the joints. Here, joints, they act as the fulcrum. There are 3 important types of joints. Fibrous joint, which is present in the flat skull bones or the sutures of the cranium. These typically do not allow any movement. They are just fixed. Okay. Next type is cartilaginous joints. These type of joints involve joining together with the help of cartilages. Now, they show limited movement. And where do we find it? We find it in the joints between the adjacent vertebrae. Okay, in the vertebrae we have cartilaginous joints. Third type of joint is synovial joint, which have a fluid-filled synovial cavity present between the articulating surface of 2 bones, or wherever 2 bones are attaching, in between there is a cavity which is filled with the fluid called as a synovial fluid. Okay, this type of joint provides maximum or considerable movement. Now, memory trick which you can use here is full cricket stadium, that is full for fibrous, C for cartilaginous and S for synovial. Okay, let's now see the more examples of synovial joint in detail. Let us now look at some examples of synovial joint. Number 1 is a ball and socket joint. You find it in the shoulder region between humerus and pectoral girdle, as well as in the hip region between the femur and the pelvic girdle. Now, this ball and socket joint shows multi-axial movement. Imagine your hands that are attached in the pectoral girdle. You can move it in multiple direction on multiple axes. So that is an example of ball and socket joint. Second is your pivot joint. Pivot joint also shows movement, but the movement is only along a single axis. It is rotational movement and it is found between the atlas and axis. It's very important. Third type of joint is your hinge joint. Compare it with just like the door. Okay, so your knee joint and your elbow joint, they are example of your hinge joint. Just like in the door, it can just like move. The knees and elbows shows a similar movement, so they are example of your hinge joint. Okay, next is your gliding joint. Gliding joints are present between the carpals in the wrist and the tarsals in the ankle. Now, they are the plain type of joint, and here the movement is only very subtle type, and it is mostly for maintaining the stability, right? So, very small movements you can see both in your wrist as well as ankle. So, these are the examples of your gliding movement. Next is your saddle joint. It is found between the carpal and metacarpal of the thumb. Okay, this is your saddle joint, and it gives more freedom in the movement, and it is found in the thumb region, right? So these are the different types of the synovial joint. I hope you are clear about it. I tried to explain the human skeleton in the easiest way possible. I hope you enjoyed the session today, and if you love the session and you got something out of the video, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel and share with your friends. And if you have any queries, please feel free to comment. I would be very happy to answer it. Thank you everybody. Have a very good day.